What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with a different kind of video, a lineup building strategy video. I'm going to walk you through my core cascading method of building lineups for 20 max tournaments. It is the method that I used back at last year's Masters to win the $3 Birdie. It is the same method that I just finished top 10 again in the Birdie last week at the Memorial. So this feels like a good time to kind of re-up on this strategy, kind of talk through what it is and what it isn't. When I mentioned it, a year ago, I did not know it was going to be something that sparked a lot of questions. This is one of the things I get asked about the most is, how do I pick my core? What do I do next? How does this cascading method work? I didn't really think much of it, but it kind of evolved into something, and I've continued to do it with some success. So we'll actually show you all of that. So here's what I'm talking about from this week, where I had an 8th place finish in the Birdie, which was good for, I think, 750, and then 18 of the 20 lineups in the 20 max cashed, so a total of 976, and then the week all told was about $1,280 in winnings, about $1,100 in profit, I believe. So I understand that this is not life-changing money, and for some people this is not even week-changing money, but it is, I think, a really good opportunity to discuss this, because I just think it's a great example, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that, hey, this would be their biggest win ever. So I'm happy to share it with you. So here is the actual, this is the actual lineup here that won it. Or I'm sorry, it didn't win it. It scored 586 points. It came in 8th place. It was Patrick Cantlay, Jason Duffner, Billy Horschel, Xander Schauffele, Adam Scott, and Nick Watney. I won't really discuss too much how I got to these players. I talked about it in the DFS video for that week. Like, it's all the guys I talked about. I talked heavily about basically all of these guys, but I'll show you what this core cascading method looks like. And I'll just pop this up here. This is the exact spreadsheet that I used. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I mean, I assume you are, but maybe you're not. So I enter one dummy lineup into basically everything. On Monday or Tuesday of that week, I go and I put in everything that I want to play, my 20 maxes, my single entries, any GPPs or satellites or cash games, whatever. I just drop a dummy lineup into it. And then what I do is I go into DraftKings and I go into the lineups section and I export my lineups, and it pumps me out this spreadsheet, or a spreadsheet that looks very close to this. And then it has the same team in every single lineup. So that's kind of the starting point. The reason this core cascading method works so well I think it works best in 20 maxes, quite honestly. It gives you enough exposure to guys that you normally wouldn't have without having to drop 150 lineups in and being like that committed to it. So it's a very low risk investment. $3 times 20 is $60. So here's what I do here. And you can kind of see how this works is I choose my core. I choose 6 players. Everyone always asks, Rick, how many players are in your core? Well, technically 6, which I understand, well, you can't have a core of 6 because how are you gonna get people out of that? That's one lineup. That's a full lineup. I get it. So here was my core: Keegan, Cantlay, Horschel, Xander, Adam Scott, Nick Watney. So when I first get this, it actually looks a lot like this. I should do it this way. This lineup would be entered into everything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to systematically remove each player in my core 3 times and insert 3 different players into that spot. The reason that I'm doing that is I want a really tight core. When my core hits, I'm going to have as many opportunities to win the GPP as possible. Instead of taking kind of a scatter shot approach where if your core is right, you have to have one line, there's only one lineup that gets you there. When my core is right, I have 20 shots to win a GPP. And I've actually done this, I don't know if it was the quarter arcade or a $1 at some point, where I had I don't think I won it, but I think I had 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, 9th. I had a bunch of lineups like that because my core hit. and it just gets you to the top. So I am fully aware I'm either going to lose all of my entries, which happens often. I'll show you my results in a second. You lose all of your entries when 4 out of 6 get through, or 5 out of 6 or whatever, and you just like not enough. But when you get 6 of 6 through and you have a core that's in contention, you have a ton of lineups cashing and a ton of lineups with the opportunity to win. So that's what I'm going for here. So for this week, specifically, actually, Keegan didn't even make the cut. He missed the cut. These would have been so much better had he made the cut. I would have had so many more opportunities at this. I probably would have won the thing. But Keegan misses the cut, and there was a lot of other carnage. So even my 5 of 6 core ends up being really well. And when you have a 5 of 6 core, actually, one of those lineups that the bold lineup here, Duffner replacing Keegan Bradley, that's the one that came in 8th. Because I had other outs. One guy, I get him out of my lineup a couple of times, I have a chance. So here's what I do. All right. So I look, here's my top lineup. That's my core. I'm just going to come through and seriously just like remove 3 of Nick Watney. Then I'm going to come down here to Adam Scott, and I'll do remove 3 of Adam Scott, remove 3 of Xander, remove 3 of Horschel, Cantlay, and Keegan. And you'll see it is kind of like a cascading effect, like a waterfall, where I have these empty slots in each one of my lineups that I can plug someone in at the same price range. Okay, so then I try to get guys in different price range. I don't usually do this with like a very balanced lineup, because then you're just replacing them with guys in the similar pricing range. I'll take Nick Watney, who might have been, I don't know what he was, 6,700 last week. And then I have a chance of 3 other guys who are just those deep flyers, 6,700 or so. Adam Scott, same thing. Maybe he's $8,800. I'll plug guys in around his range. So it gives me exposure to different players that I might not normally play, or guys that like, hey, I like him, but I'm not really ready for him to be in my core. So then I have Nick. Okay, so now here's what we'll just do this. So say Nick Watney is $6,700. What I'll do is I'll just go down the list here. And this is after all my research. So I already know generally the guys that I want to play. And I'll look for players that I want to replace with. And maybe I want to go with Max Homa, Bud Colley, and Matt Every. Those are the 3 guys that I want to put in. So I'll just copy those guys up and I will paste them in here. And I'll go through and I'll do this every single time. So Adam Scott. Okay, well, Adam Scott I'll replace with Gary Woodland because I had $100 left over. I'll do Louis and I'll do Henrik Stenson. This is kind of just a scatter shot approach to get other exposure, but it's guys that I generally like, right? Like they just didn't make my core, but I like them. It's easy to be risky here because it's just like, oh, Louis is in one of my lineups. If he withdraws and burns my one lineup, fine. I have a bunch of other very, very similar lineups that I can still get to victory here. And I'll just do this for everybody. So it ends up just kind of looking like, I think I actually did Hideki, like Bryson Woodland, and then we'll swap out Billy Horschel for like, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Luke List. And this doesn't take long to create lineups once you're actually in the process, right? You're just copying and pasting with guys that you also like. So that's really it. And then I'll just take this and I'll upload it back into DraftKings, into those contests, and boom, my 20 lineups are in. So it's really not hard to make this many lineups quickly. You just have to decide on what your core is going to be, which is how I grind over my core like crazy. And you'll see this is the lineup here that won it. So my core of Cantlay, Horschel, Xander, Adam Scott, and Nick Watney was great, right? Cantlay wins it. Adam Scott comes in second. Watney was a top 20 finisher, I think. Xander ended up finishing like 20th. Billy Horschel backdoored his way into the top 10, I think. But Keegan was the weak one. And that's kind of the point of this is I had a chance to have that really great core and remove Keegan and get Duffner in there. So does this work and how does it work? I'm actually going to show you. So I I download like all of my entries and results, and I just throw them into like a very simple visualization. I kind of just tweak around with it. So I'm going to show you that right now. All right, and it looks something like this. This chart in the upper left-hand corner is my my results. This is only the birdie, right? So I put some filters on. This is only golf. This is only the $3 birdie since the start of 2018. So January 2018 to February 30th, 2019. So a year and a half. These are my birdie results. You'll see there is a big win and then another kind of medium win, right? There's a $10,000 win that was at the Masters. And then there's that, $900 or so win last week. The rest of it is kind of a little blips, but mostly down, right? So I don't want you to think you're going to win every week with this, because you're absolutely not. I say this all the time. I play a very high risk, high reward strategy. I'm going to lose many weeks, way more weeks than I win. But when I win, I'm going to put myself in a position to win first place and win the whole thing. And you can see, I could almost have 2 winning weeks in a year and a half, but because I put myself in a position to win big when I do, I'm up $10,500 in this tournament alone, right? And if I'll actually zoom in to kind of, it's hard to see the nuances on this. So let me go to just 2019. Before yesterday, my 2019 was pretty bad, right? In this one specific tournament. Again, this is just the birdie. But you'll see, okay, losing week, small win, pretty break even for a couple weeks, a loss, and then boom, we hit the win yesterday and we're up. That is, if you hear guys in GPPs talk about or talk about winning GPPs, this is kind of the style that they tend to take, where you're going to pay off a lot of entries the one time that you finally do cash in. And this is my chart, my cashing chart. I only cash 24% of my entries. That's basically even, right? That's how many people cash in every tournament, 25%. But my cashes tend to always be towards the top end. When I cash, I'm in contention. The weeks that I lose, I'm in dead last. But I understand that. So this is over 359 entries. Again, just the $3 birdie over the last year and a half. So 359. I don't know if I left out a lineup one week, but because they're in 20 lineup increments. $1,000 in entry fees, $10,359 in profit since January 1st of 2018. So I hope that's helpful. I understand this is not for everyone. I don't encourage this for everyone, right? If you want to just make a couple bucks every week, great. Go play a different way. This is not the style for you. But what I like about this style is it's only a $60 investment every week, right? That's why I love the birdie so much. It's $3, 20 max, spend $60. If you lose it all, fine. But when you have a chance to win, you're going to win big. So it's a really, really cool tournament. And I think it fits my skill set. And it's one that I hope, I'll continue to play. But let me know if you have any questions about that and what you think. Tweet me. It's at DFS On Demand, or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys. See ya.